Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karava Vahai Tejasvinavadhitam Astoma Vidvi Shavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Boliye Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om. So, today's session of Chinmaya Yoga, commit to win and win you will. The winning here we are talking about is quietening the mind, bringing the mind to a very quiet state. And in that process, in the process of yoga, we face a lot of obstacles. Like today, there was an obstacle. The YouTube talk, which was supposed to begin at 6 o'clock, something was buffering in the YouTube video and it took such a long time. And as you can see, there's so much of sweating. So many situations come in our life where we have to transcend it transcend it and still maintain the quietness of mind to be able to rise above situations. So in Hasten Slowly, Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji says, there are in the world there are many people, they read a lot, they learn a lot, they're able to understand many concepts, even philosophical concepts. They can rattle and reel about what all they have studied, and because of what they know, they can engage other people's attention, and people like to listen to them. They may even be able to entertain many people and give them a lot of knowledge. But when it comes to their own life, when it comes to their own personal life, they are uh, they are unable to transcend their negative qualities. They are not able to overcome it, and that is because whatever is there as a level of at the level of knowledge has not got translated into action. And here Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji quotes a verse from the Yoga Vasishta. It is a very humorous verse. Vicharitamalam Shastra Chiramudda Muddatitam Chiram Udgahitam Punaha Satyak Samtyaktavasanan Maunat Ritenastyuttamam Padam. Vicharitam Alam Shastram. People would have uh, people would have studied the Shastras very well, contemplated on the Shastras, and even reel and rattle off from the Shastras, quote from the mantras. Chiram Udgahitam Punaha. After reading the Shastras, they may spend some time for a long period of time teaching others also. But Samtyakta Vasanan Maunat, by being in silence and not giving up the vasanas. Vasanas are something like they are a cycle of habits in us, which is within us, it is actually around us. There was a small story is there. In a big tank, there were two small fish that were swimming. These two small fish were happily talking with each other. There was a big uncle fish that is coming in the opposite direction, and that fish asked these two small fish, "How are the waters today?" These fish said, "Waters? Where are the waters? We cannot see any waters." So these small fish did not know that what they were actually swimming is in waters. In the same way, we are swimming in the waters of our vasanas. Our vasanas are thought patterns, compulsive, obsessive thought patterns, which combined with feeling and energy is rotating around us at all times. So whether it is an angry vasana, whether it's a hateful vasana, whether it's a complaining vasana, or whether it's a jealous vasana, these vasanas are all there and they remain hidden to us. How much ever we may study from the Shastras, these vasanas don't go until we apply our attention to them, note that they exist, and do something to change those vasanas by praying to Ishvara and by following the path of sadhana. So, without the inner silence arising out of the total vasana destruction, these vasanas have to be destroyed. And how these vasanas are destroyed? They are done through karma yoga, through constant action. And the action should not be for any particular result to please myself. Then it becomes an action that can destroy my vasanas. One is, I should not expect any particular result, which means I should not do an action, whether it may be an action for the sake of public, for the sake of society, or for the sake of my family, or for the sake of God. I should not be doing an action with an expectation of a particular result for myself. When I do an action, when I do the right action, without without losing my mind, the steadiness of my mind, whether the action is successful or not successful, I do it, and then without identification of I am the doer of the action. So when these two things happen, then the vasanas are gone. The impressions in the mind that cause us to swim in rotatory habits all the time is gone, and then the supreme state of meditation can be experienced. Gurudev says, and it is a very difficult thing to quieten the mind. That is, even though we may study, even though we may quote from the Shastras or quote from the Upanishads, the scriptures, the Dharma Sutras, the Yoga Sutras, whatever we may do, how much ever we may study, identifying with and thus living constantly in the body vehicle, man has come to forget his godly nature and live a fruitless, miserable life of passions and inner agitations. When I identify myself with I am this limited body, I am this limited mind, I am this limited intellect, then I function within these limitations, and whatever I function from, the region from which I function, the results are also limited because the area, the space from which I function, the thought from which I function is limited. To quieten the mind, which is full of passions and agitations, to quieten them and to reach oneself above them is spiritual life. Spiritual sadhana or spiritual life, the purpose of spiritual sadhana is to make the mind quiet. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodhaha samatvam yoga uchyate yogaha karmasu kaushalam. I engage in action so beautifully that my mind remains quiet, but the action is happening. When great swimmers, great tennis players, great cricket players are focused on the field, are focused on the action, their mind is not thinking about something else. The mind is not thinking whether the ball will hit a sixer or whether it is going to bounce off, whether leg will be before the wicket, whether I will get out. None of these thoughts come in the mind. Only the body is in action and the mind is with the body. The mind is within the skin of that person. To silence the mind and to reach in ourselves a state wherein we reach to experience an infinite self expansion is a cherished destination, the rewarding goal. So, what is the purpose of meditation? What is the purpose of doing all sadhana? The mind becomes quiet. The processes by which we accomplish this together constitute the spiritual sadhana, the final reaches of which are through meditation. Sadhana takes many forms. We may go to temples, we may do japa, we may do prayers and pujas, we may do rituals, we may do karma yoga, meaning not identifying myself as a doer of action and not hankering for any particular results of action, successful results or whatever. Then it becomes karma yoga. I may practice bhakti yoga. I may be in love with an Ishvara or Bhagavan or form of God, but through that love, I don't want to gain something for myself. I don't want to gain some benefits for myself. And I don't want to identify myself as the one who is loving Ishvara or who is showing devotion towards Bhagavan. And in the same way, jnana, I want to know not for the particular purpose of getting something in life, not for the purpose of becoming very powerful, not for anything, but just for the sake of jnana, for just for the sake of knowledge, love of knowledge. And I don't want to be identified as the knower of that knowledge. When I get identified, the ego becomes very heavy and I get drawn into the mundane world where I am expecting results and I do action, I get results. That results will trigger me into more actions because impressions are caused in my mind. It is a circle. That is, even in habit formation, they say first there is a cue and then there is a craving. It is a semicircular movement. The cue is here, then it becomes craving, then there is action, and then there is result and reward. This becomes a nice, what is this called, oval shaped movement of the mind from cue to craving to action to reward. The reward leaves impression, the impression becomes a cue, then it becomes a craving, it becomes the action, and becomes a reward. So it becomes an unending cycle. To break the cycle, this cue, we are proceeding, the craving is there, but the action is divine, oriented towards the divine, and the reward is bliss, the reward is satisfaction. Then this line becomes cut, the circle gets cut. That circle is called the circle of samsara. As a seeker successfully reaches a point of self discipline, so far discussed in many chapters in Hasten Slowly, Gurudev talks about many ways by which we can do abhyasa. There is satsanga. So many thoughts have been told. We are coming to the end of this book, Hasten Slowly. There is one more chapter which we will complete next week, and then we will go through the gist of the whole text and see what further we can think about what Gurudev is saying on yoga. Gurudev says, at this point, we have to be very careful. Which point? At the point when we have practiced meditation, we have done our sadhana, and meticulously we have practiced. Whatever we have to withdraw from, we have withdrawn, and whatever we have to attach to, we have attached, and we are continuing the path of sadhana. And this is where we have to be very careful because the obstacles are not only the obstacles to sadhana initially. Once we come, the completion process of our sadhana, the results of the sadhana begin to come. The results of the sadhana begin to come in many, many ways, especially when we have become advanced in meditation or even in hatha yoga or even in bhakti yoga, when we begin to chant very beautifully, when the voice is very beautiful and people are all attracted towards us, so many beautiful things can happen as a result of sadhana. People get attracted towards us. There is a very intuitive knowledge for which we may become famous for. And when we begin to focus on these things, then there begins a downfall. So the Guru is here alerting us to that point where we reach in a sadhana, where the results start coming, and the results are very beautiful, and it makes us feel proud, it makes us feel great. So what are these kind of results? Many great Mahatmas have spoken about this and warned about this. Even in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, towards the end, this third chapter is called the Vibhuti Pada. The Vibhuti Pada is full of results. If I meditate on this, I will know my past lives. If I meditate on this, I will have the knowledge of the whole world. If I meditate on this, I will know the whole body, what is the constitution of a body, especially for doctors. You know, if they meditate on something, they will know the inner content of the patient's body, in what way the organs are arranged and what is the problem. More like an X-ray they can see. So if I do this, then I can leave this place and go into some other person's body. These are all there. If I do this sadhana, then I become like air, I become like cotton. I can just disappear and reappear whenever I want to. People have done all these things. And if I do this, I will know what the other person is thinking. So there are many practices for meditation, but the result of that practices, we get certain powers. So these powers are what, when they come, even Patanjali Maharshi says, you should be very, very careful because the devatas, the gods will start calling us. They will come to us, they will appear to us, they will say, I am having this problem, can you solve it for me? And you will think, oh my God, this God, Lord Indra himself has come. This devata himself has come. This devata herself has come. And she's asking me to solve her problem, how great I am. And then you get into solving the problem. That is the time when the downfall begins. And even if you don't practice anything, and if you don't achieve, or you practice little bit and you don't achieve, the downfall is not so much. We can always keep going. But once when we reach such heights, and then we get into these powers, we get into the joy and the pleasure that all these powers bring, the pelf and the position and the ability to control people that these powers bring, then our downfall is very, very fast, and it may take lifetimes to come back again. So it is the duty of the guru to warn us of this point. Gurudev says he starts experiencing some strange things, only some of a million varieties of possibilities, such as enthralling visions, fascinating sounds, pleasant smells, melting touches, or delicious states. There are so many people in ordinary, even in beginning level meditators' experiences. Many would have said this. The meditator will be sitting quietly. In the meditation, the thought of cake would come, maybe chocolate cake. And then they will finish the meditation, open the eyes, and somebody will hand a chocolate cake to that person. Do you want to have chocolate cake? So when this person begins to think that, wow, it is the power of my meditation, this chocolate cake has come, that is when the downfall begins. So we have to be very careful. Some people see visions. They see visions of gods. They see visions of bright. Swami Vivekananda ji said, even when he was a small child, he used to see a bright light in his forehead. And when he closed his eyes, he used to see a bright light in the forehead. And he used to think that it was normal for everybody to see that bright light. He didn't know that it took him some years to know that everybody does not get to see that bright light. So it was like normal for him. So when such lights, and then very, very tasty exotic foods, divine foods come to appear in our, these are all the power of sadhana, which is manifesting. All this time, without sadhana, many difficulties were manifesting, many, many tough situations, lot of suffering was manifesting. A little bit of sadhana, all the sufferings went down. Then good health manifested, good energy manifested, but still we were living in the world. And then more and more sadhana we begin to do, the manifestation becomes very subtle. The whatever thoughts we get, whatever sounds we hear, whatever smells we feel, whatever nice fragrances we feel, which I'm saying is even without an outside source, it becomes very miraculous. When there is no agarbatti, or what is it called in English? Incense stick outside. When no incense stick has been kept outside, there's no scent that is sprayed. If you're getting the fragrance of chandan, or getting the fragrance of vibhuti, or getting the fragrance of rose, then it is a subtle manifestation of the mind. Just as the physical body contains five elements, the mind also contains five elements of earth, water, fire, air, and space. But these five elements are in a subtle form. And when these forms begin to mix and match, we get to experience many lights, sounds, tastes, smells, and feelings. They may be enveloping darkness or expanding rings of effulgence. These things are also mentioned because these, why do these things come? These are all pointers to the sadhaka that they are proceeding in the right direction. So these are all indicators for us to be motivated on the path of meditation, and not to get lost in these kind of thoughts and these kind of experiences, and more importantly, not to boast about them to others. Even if the experiences we get caught in them, it is going to be harmful. When we boast about them to others, when we talk about our experiences to others, the yoga shastras say that the yogi begins to lose their powers. all the powers that they had will go with just one expression or telling it to somebody, only to the guru. These experiences can be narrated, and that too only if the guru wants to know and the guru asks. Otherwise, there is no need to talk about them, and there is no need to focus our attention on them. We just, even sometimes it is like, why this is being said is, when we have such an experience, we just begin to revel in it. There was once a person who saw a very beautiful, while meditating, she saw a very beautiful girl. The girl had, bobbed haircut, and the hair was cut straight in front, coming over the eyebrows. Very beautiful dress, and a very chubby face, and very beautiful face. The person was reveling in that form and trying to figure out and find, question, where have I seen this form? Where have I seen this person? Is this some divinity? Is this some divine? The more and more the thoughts come, the more and more the mind begins to show what all we are thinking. The mind is nothing but a trick that it play. Whatever we think, it will show. Just like in YouTube also, you may be thinking something, and then YouTube will see that programming and then bring that link to us, whatever we are thinking about. It's all because technology has advanced so much that they're almost entering into our mind and are able to know what all we are talking. Suppose I'm talking to somebody on the phone. I talk so much about meditation on the phone, and then I switch off the phone. Everything is connected. All technology is connected these days. Our mobile numbers and WhatsApp, then bank account, then where we go, what doctor we visit, where we pay our money, for what reasons we pay, what conversations we have. The words are all picked up. It all gets goes into that computer. It is fed, and then YouTube is also having its own ways of what is that called? It's called the algorithm. So all these words are picked up. As soon as I keep the phone down, as soon as I switch off the phone, and maybe if I go onto YouTube, I see, wow, I just spoke to my friend about this meditation. I now this person's meditation program is showing on YouTube. And in the same way, the mind keeps whatever we are thinking about, it keeps showing it in our presence as reality. So when this person was, the very beautiful girl's face came and was wondering, the person was sitting in meditation, and when this person's face came, wondering, have I seen this person? Who is this girl? Maybe she's a divine being. Maybe she wants to tell me something. I want to look into that. I want to see further. When we get into that thought, then we are absorbed, our mind gets sidetracked. And then when it comes to be some real vision about something, we will immediately not leave it alone. We will go and tell our friends, you know what? I did meditation and I got this vision. And this person told me, go here, go there, you will find a treasure. I went there, and I hit a big jackpot. I got so much of money as treasure because of my meditation. So that marks the end of our meditation, because the result we are expecting is something very luxurious, something very expensive. And when we get that, we are not able to go further, and we go into that loop of thinking, the loop of operation of looking forward to results. So there may be enveloping darkness, or expanding rings of effulgence, or a flood of blinding light, with or without clouds, or melodious music and sweet smell. So, whatever we experience, we just have to say, this too shall pass. Allow it to go. Observe the smell. Allow the smell to go. Observe the fragrance. Allow the fragrance to go. Observe the beautiful sensation. Allow it to pass. See that vision. Observe the vision. Allow the vision to go. Don't pay attention to it. Don't think I am very great and that is why this vision is coming to me. It is not because of anything. It is the process of meditation which brings all this. It is not because it has not got something to do with me. Even if negative thoughts come, even if negative happenings and situations come in front of us, just observe and let even there also, don't think it is because I've got this negative thought in my mind that it is coming. Whether it's a positive thought or whether it's a negative thought, whether it's a divine thought or an asuric thought, let it come and let it go. continue to be the state of meditation. When the gross world of sense objects are conquered, the mind is conquered. The human mind of the meditator tries to entangle him amidst such pleasant and heavenly, enchanting, subtle sense experiences. With a lot of difficulty, we have reached this place in meditation where even these kind of subtle visions and subtle experiences are happening to us. And with so much of sadhana, this can happen. And we should not allow all that sadhana to go to waste by indulging in these kind of experiences, talking about them, going after them, yearning for them, wanting to experience them more and more, and we will be, the whole purpose will be sidetracked. They are to be rejected, denied, destroyed. In fact, according to the rishis, literally killed and thrown completely away from our bosom. How can we kill something? It is not possible. It is not possible to destroy it or kill it, but we can let it go away from us by ignoring it completely. If we don't give our attention, our the attention is only what is food for those kind of experiences. The more attention we pay, the more they become stronger. The more they become stronger, the more they begin to obstruct our sadhana. So these obstructions have to be met with firm conviction that I am going to choose the highest goal of my meditation, and I will not allow anything to stop me from achieving what I truly want to achieve. Even in the story of Dhruva, he did very difficult tapasya for 6 months as a small child because his mother, Suniti, and the other stepmother is Suruchi. Uttanapada is his father. Dhruva wanted to sit on the lap. He sees his step brother sitting on the lap, Suruchi's son, sitting on the lap of Uttanapada. And Dhruva also runs to sit on his father's lap, small child. Suruchi says, sorry, you cannot sit on his lap. To be sitting on his lap, you must be born in my womb. Only then you can sit on his lap. And so this boy goes crying to his, you go and pray to God, you do tapasya so that you will be born in my womb, and then you can come and sit in your father's lap. So this boy goes crying to Suniti, and Suniti says, okay, leave the second part of what she said. Go and do tapasya. She said, go and do tapasya so that you will be born in my womb. No, you don't bother about the Suruchi part of it. She said one nice thing, go and do tapasya. So this Dhruva goes crying all the way. He leaves home immediately. His mother says, do tapasya, he goes. He's crying on the road. And then Bhagavan Sriman Narayana is looking at Narada. Narada, hey, look at this small boy, why don't you go and talk to him and convince him and do something? What's happened? You just go and find out what's happening. And Narada goes and meets this boy and says, my little boy, shall I give you toys to play with? Why are you crying? He says, no, my mother said I should go and do tapasya so I'll be able to sit on my father's lap. So I want to do tapasya. Narada says, you're a small boy. I will give you toys. Go back home and play with your toys. Go and be with your mother. Spend nice time at home. Tapas is very difficult. Don't do all this. So this boy still says, no, if you can help me to do tapasya, you help. Otherwise, I'll manage on my own. You can go. Like that, he told Narada. And Narada was very happy. So he says, okay, you chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's a mantra he gives to Dhruva. And Dhruva goes into the forest all alone for 5 months, 6 months. Towards the end, no food, no water, standing on one leg, he is doing tapasya. Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Bhagavan Vasudeva appears before him and gives him the boon. The boon that he asks for is, I want to sit on my father's lap. But then meeting Bhagavan Vasudeva himself, he said, oh my God, how stupid I have been. After doing this tapasya and Bhagavan himself has come, I am asking for this silly boon. But at that point, you cannot change. So in the same way, instead of asking for little things in life, go for the highest and don't even stop anywhere in between for anything that may be very attractive. Unless we leave this plane of existence, the higher cannot be gained. This plane of existence means our common likes and dislikes, our common ability to control others, our common ability to manage many, many big things in life. If whatever I want is happening, wherever I want to go, I'm able to go. These are all small pleasures of life. Whatever I say, other people are doing. I am very attractive. People are coming towards me. They all want to listen to my satsangs. So, all these are very, very little things in life. Drop these desires and move higher and higher. Stop not till the goal is reached. Consistent practice with firm faith in oneself, constant study, daily reflection, deep devotion, and unbroken awareness of the presence of the Lord deep in our personality, these roughly chalk out the path. He who, maintaining a spiritual attitude of dedication unto the Supreme, dynamically works in cheerful contentment, ever joyously feeling that he is serving the Lord, he is the one who finds his meditation unobstructed. If we want no obstructions to our sadhana, we just have to focus on our sadhana. There is a very beautiful book called Habits of Why We Do and What We Do by Charles Duhigg. He's a journalist of New York Times. The book talks about people's habits. Habit is something that you physically do without thinking. When I do an action consistently without giving thought about it or without thoughts entering the picture, it becomes beautiful habit. These sadhana or abhyasa, they're all very beautiful habits where consistently day in and day out I do nothing but sadhana, which is constant study, swadhyaya, daily reflection, mananam, deep devotion, bhakti, unbroken awareness of the presence of the Lord in our personality is meditation, Atma Anusandhana, how Ishvara Anusandhana, how Bhagavan is present in our heart. Constantly remembering that and being with that thought. The mind is a gruesome problem for a seeker in meditation. So long as he allows himself to be hypnotized by the powers of the mind, he is getting himself more and more identified with the mind, the thought flow in him, which is but the manifestation of his own non apprehension of the self, which is avidya. If I'm getting a thought in my mind, if I'm getting a feeling in my mind, if I feel even anger, if I feel jealousy, if I feel hatred, or if I feel exhilaration, if I feel joy, everything is only a modification of my own mind. My mind is like an ocean, and every thought that I experience is like a wave. I should just be alert and aware to know that it is just a wave and the wave will pass and I am remaining as I am. Instead of that, what we actually do is we get caught in the wave. How do we get caught in the wave? Suppose I'm doing something and somebody else is praising somebody else for doing a little bit of what I'm doing. So there comes anger and jealousy. Two things come. So when this anger comes, when this jealousy comes, I experience the jealousy, I focus on the jealousy, and then I go into the details of how come I am doing so much, that person is not doing so much at all, that person is whiling away the time all the time, and then behaving as he wants to, but at the right time he is getting the right name, and everybody is looking at the person and praising that person, and they're ignoring me, and not only ignoring me, they're putting me down. So instead of transcending that jealousy, instead of observing that the thought is jealousy, that thought is hatred, that thought is anger, and observing and standing away from the thought, I get involved in the thought and I also take action based on that thought. So this is where the thought, if we do not observe the thought can draw us into it. That's in the Yoga Sutras, the very second sutra says, third sutra, Tada drashtu swarupi avasthanam. If I'm in the state of yoga, if all my the agitations of the mind are quiet, I am in a state of yoga. If I'm in the state of yoga, I am the perceiver. I see everything. I see all the thoughts. I experience all the feelings. I am the seer. If I'm not the seer, what happens? Vrittis arupyam itaratra. I get caught in the thought. So our task is to remain the seer, to remain the observer, and not get caught in the thought. Once we get caught in a thought, the thought will take us into the ocean of samsara. We don't even know, just like you are standing in a river, near a river, you're observing from the banks of the river, you're observing the waves, you're observing the water flow. It is very beautiful. You have a very blissful experience. But you step into the river and you observe a whirlpool in the river, even then there is no harm. But when you go near the whirlpool, when you keep watching only the whirlpool and you're also going near the whirlpool, at one tipping point, what happens? You will get caught into the whirlpool. It's the same way with the thoughts. As long as I'm an observer of the thought, I will not have any problem. I can keep moving on my path very easily. But the moment I go near the thought, I look into the thought, I begin to observe the thought very deeply without even realizing that I'm not observing, but I'm participating in the thought. I will become completely engulfed and enveloped by the thought. And when that thought engulfs me, then my sadhana goes back. So one step up, many steps down it becomes. And all these thoughts are arising not because they are there, but because of the ignorance of who I am. I am the thought. I am the seer of the thought. I am everything that I see. But I do not know that. Because I do not know that, thoughts are arising in my mind. If thoughts should not come in my mind, I should know who I am, Vidya. Therefore, the masters tell us these outgoing thoughts, idam chittam, are the products of our mind identification, which is ignorance. If I identify myself with the mind, that is called ignorance. I am not the mind. I am not the body. I am not the intellect. Who am I? I am that life. I am the very bliss that I am experiencing. I am only that. I am that knowledge. I am that existence. I am that life. But I am not this thought. I am not the mind. I am not the body. I am not the intellect. If I don't realize, if I don't understand that I am the life, then I get caught in this body, mind, and intellect as I. Don't disturb the mind by initiating new thought channels. Just remain in it, quietly tuned up to receive and to transcribe rather than to remember and translate the experience. Allow meditation to take charge of you. Surrender to His will and grace. Alert, quiet, quietly alert, alertly quiet. At your seat of meditation, daily strive. Haste makes waste, yet hasten slowly. The title of the book is Hasten Slowly, and in every chapter, Gurudev completes it with hasten slowly. As I mentioned earlier, it is an oxymoron. Oxymoron is two different meaning words coming together. Hasten means fast, slowly means slow. So, how can I hasten slowly? I have to hasten, it is very important. But when I start it, I go slowly, little by little, without any hurry once the process has begun. Om. Om. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayah. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Asatoma Sadgamaya. Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Boliye Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj ki Jai. Hari Om.